Two countries went to war over a strip of jungle so remote, most of their own soldiers had never seen it on a map. It should have been over in days. Instead, it became the last real war fought between two national armies anywhere in South America, and almost nobody outside the region remembers it happened. This is the story of the Cenepa War. So how did a border dispute nobody could even agree on the location of turn into a battle in the sky? Let's go back to where it started. In 1941, Peru and Ecuador fought a war over their shared border. Peru won. A treaty was signed. Case closed. Or so everyone thought. There was just one problem. Part of that border ran through the Cordillera del Cóndor, a mountain range buried so deep in the Amazon that surveyors couldn't even finish mapping it. Nobody had ever properly walked the line. For 50 years, the two countries just agreed to disagree. But under the jungle canopy, near a river called the Cenepa, both nations had quietly built military outposts. Neither side told the other. Neither side knew exactly where the other soldiers were standing. It was a border war waiting to happen, hidden under 200 feet of rainforest. On January 26, 1995, an Ecuadorian army patrol found something in the jungle that shouldn't have been there. A Peruvian military outpost, sitting well inside what Ecuador considered its own territory. "Sir, we found a Peruvian position at Base Norte." "That's not possible. That's our side of the line." Tell that to the soldiers standing on it. Shots were fired within hours. Nobody planned this war. It started because two patrols ran into each other in a place neither government had ever agreed was theirs. Both countries rushed troops into the mountains. But here's the twist. Almost nobody could actually get there. There were no roads, no supply lines. Everything had to move in by helicopter or on foot through jungle so thick that soldiers were fighting each other from less than 50 feet away without knowing it. If you're enjoying this, subscribe, because the fighting was about to move somewhere nobody expected, into the sky. Peru had a technological edge that should have ended this war in an afternoon. Their Air Force flew Soviet-built Sukhoi Su-22s, fast, modern, and armed with precision weapons. Ecuador had something much older. French Mirage F-1 jets, some of them flying missions with equipment from the 1970s. On paper, this wasn't a fair fight. In the mountains, it was a different story. The Cordillera del Cóndor is a maze of ridgelines and narrow valleys, some barely wide enough for a jet to bank through. Peru's modern radar-guided weapons struggled to lock onto targets hugging the terrain. Ecuador's older jets, flown by pilots who knew every ridge by heart, used the mountains as cover. On February 10th, Ecuadorian Mirage jets shot down two Peruvian Sukhois in a single engagement, a result almost nobody predicted. It was one of the only times in modern history that older Western fighter jets outperformed newer Soviet-built aircraft in real combat. But air power alone wasn't deciding this war. The real fight was happening on a single patch of ground, with a name that would end up in every history book written about this conflict. Tiwinza. Tiwinza was barely more than a jungle clearing. A few hundred yards of dirt, completely surrounded by mountains, with no strategic value beyond one simple fact. Both armies had decided it mattered. Ecuador dug in a small force of soldiers and refused to move. Peru threw wave after wave of assault at the position. Helicopter raids, artillery barrages, infantry pushes through the trees. Ecuador's soldiers held the position for over a month, outnumbered and cut off, resupplied only by helicopter drops that had to thread through Peruvian anti-aircraft fire. "Command, we are still holding Tiwinza. Reinforcements are 3 days out." "We don't have 3 days. We have today." By the time a ceasefire was finally negotiated in late February, roughly 80 soldiers on both sides combined were dead. A small number by the standards of most wars, but for two countries that hadn't fought each other in over 50 years, it was a national shock. Here's the part almost nobody expects. After the shooting stopped, it took 4 more years of negotiation before anyone agreed on anything. In 1998, Peru and Ecuador finally signed a permanent peace treaty. Ecuador gave up its territorial claim to the Cenepa Valley. In exchange, Peru handed over a single square kilometer of land around Tiwinza itself, not as Ecuadorian territory, but as privately owned land, allowing Ecuador to fly its flag there and honor its dead. A war fought over an unmapped jungle ended with a compromise over 1 square kilometer of dirt. Today, the Cordillera del Cóndor is quiet again. The outposts are gone. The jungle has grown back over most of the battle sites. Most people in Peru and Ecuador under the age of 30 have barely heard of a war their own countries fought. But for 1 month in 1995, 2 national armies fought a real war, with real jets and real casualties, over a piece of land so remote that even the soldiers fighting for it had never seen a proper map of where they stood. It remains the last time 2 national militaries in South America went to war against each other. Whether that stays true forever is still an open question. If you thought a war over an unmapped jungle was strange, wait until you hear about the 6-year war one landlocked nation started against 3 of its neighbors at once, and very nearly lost everything.